mask?
I thought there is social distancing norms are being followed here already. I am at a
I
distance of.
hear that in the commission they are asking for masks, so be really vigilant on this aspect. They want to. So you are a BTO now, BTO Nankhadi.
Yes, sir.
Nankhadi falls in which subdivision?
Sir, Rampur.
Subdivision.
Yes.
How is it that by being in Rampur, you are visiting other corners of the state like Chanchal and because it falls on the other side?
So during the time of weekends, Chanchal is I think not very far from Nankhadi. It is manageable during the time of weekends. Yes, sir. And so it is the highest peak of Shimla, so I was quite amused for visiting the place. Yes, sir.
Why didn't you go further?
Sir?
Why didn't you go? I mean, you could have gone ahead. What is the place lying ahead of Chanchal?
Dodra Kawar.
Dodra or Kawar?
So Kawar.
Think again.
So I think I read the board of Dodra Kawar, but the places
You
are
did
different.
inquire that you were seeing two places from
Yes,
Chanchal.
sir. Yes, sir.
One here, the second on the other side of Rupin.
Yes, sir.
It was Rupin or Supin?
Sir, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't go into that much detail about the place.
You see, when in HPAS, when we start with the drainage system of the river of Himachal Pradesh,
Yes, sir.
and when we study what falls in what are the catchment of Yamuna,
Yes, sir.
so these rivers come, and you had the opportunity of seeing one there
Yes, sir.
below the bridge.
Yes, sir.
So you didn't inquire whether you are seeing Dodra or whether you are seeing Kawar, and the river that you are seeing that is coming in front of you while sitting on the top of the rocks and stones there.
Sir,
By the way, what is the height of Chanchal?
sir, I think it's around 4,500 meters. Yes, sir.
And the second place I saw you visited was Hatu.
Yes, sir.
Which is the temple architecture style that is Hatu temple?
Pyramidal. Pyramidal style.
Pyramid?
Yes, sir. Pyramidal style.
What is this pyramid style of architecture?
So the same.
Pyramids are in Egypt. That style is, you see.
So it is named as pyramidal style. The Garbhagriha, the main structure where the idol of the deity lies. So the top of that Garbhagriha, it is shaped in the form of a pyramid. That's why we call it pyramidal style. Yes, sir.
You come from Hamirpur district.
Yes, sir.
Which is the river in Hamirpur district?
So Bias River.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And from which place it enters Hamirpur?
Sir, from the Kangra side it enters in Sandhol. Sir,
Which is the place where it enters the river district.
sir,
And where it leaves.
sir, it enters in near the border of Bilaspur and Hamirpur.
That's obvious, it has to enter at the border of Hamirpur. It's a very good reply you have given that it enters at the border of Hamirpur and ends at the border of Hamirpur.
Yes, sir.
Huh.
Sir, I'm sorry, sir. Right now I can't remember the place.
What is SCCC or socio-economic
Sir,
class census?
Yes, sir. SCCC was.
I'm asking this question because you are in rural development.
Right, sir. So SCCC was conducted in 2011 by the government of India. So the main aim of this census was to get the data about various castes in the country, so that the beneficiaries that are for the different schemes, they could be identified precisely, because there was a lot of so the beneficiary targeting system was not very efficient in our country. There were many ghost beneficiaries. So the government decided that there should be a proper census of the castes and the people who are lying in those castes. So sir, this was the main aim that of the SCCC.
Only caste.
So caste, yes, sir, people, yes sir. So the number of people that were lying in those castes, and moreover, sir, the data of this census has
No,
not been.
what I have gathered from your reply,
Yes,
that
sir.
the purpose of the SCCC was to identify the people by caste.
Yes, sir. How many people are lying in which caste?
How many are Brahman, how many are scheduled
Yes,
caste, how many,
Yes, sir.
that's all, that was the purpose.
Yes, sir.
If suppose I am a Brahman, how I can be identified for a scheme?
Sir, the data of the SCCC that is released by the government to us, like how many beneficiaries are to be identified in a particular scheme. So, for example, NFSA recently NFSA data, the people who are covered under NFSA data that was sent to us to our blog by that SCCC data. And so SCCC data, because it has a very confidential information about the castes, it hasn't been made public by the government. Like which person belongs to which caste in that data.
Are you sure that SCCC data is confidential and census data is not confidential? Are you not seeing there's something opposite or this is opposite?
No, sir, I don't think, sir. SCCC data
Because you
is.
see there are certain things, we call it automatic exclusion and automatic inclusion concepts which came with SCCC.
Sir, I'm not aware of this concept for now.
You see, the point is, earlier we were identifying people with the survey of below poverty line, above poverty line.
Yes, sir.
or-
Right, sir.
And certain faults, certain defects were found in that we shifted to SCCC.
Right, sir.
Right? SCCC had certain indicators which meant a person belonging to, say, scavenging, physical scavenging, automatically included.
Yes, sir.
Somebody taking arms, automatically included.
Yes, sir.
If I am having a 3-wheeler, 4-wheeler or 2-wheeler, I am automatically excluded.
Excluded.
Right? Then there were anyway, I'll not go into the discussion, but since you are rural development officer,
Yes, sir.
I thought I should better ask you
Yes,
this
sir.
question.
Thank you
SCCC,
for the
right?
information.
Now I,
Abhishek, you mentioned about ghost beneficiaries while you were talking to Chairman sir.
Yes, sir.
So, what are the steps that have been taken in our public distribution system in order to remove the ghost beneficiaries?
So the main steps that have been taken by the government is the JAM Trinity, Jan Aadhaar Mobile, which is the main thrust of the government for making sure that the people who are the real beneficiaries get the.
In the PDS system?
Yes, sir.
So, how has the JAM Trinity worked there?
Sir, it has been quite successful, sir. It was piloted in some districts of the country, and so now it is being adopted all over the country. And sir, its coverage is almost not, I think more than 75% are covered with the POS devices for the NFSA. So, sir, I think this concept of the government is working quite well.
What other scheme are the beneficiaries eligible other than NFSA?
Sir, there are many schemes. For example, Ujjwala scheme.
No, I'm talking about PDS only.
So PDS, NFSA Act,
And one more scheme.
so Antodaya scheme. Yeah.
Abhishek, there has been problems pertaining to Galwan in India, between India and China.
Yes, sir.
So, what are the strategic areas in which the clashes have been seen in Eastern Ladakh?
So if I start with the northern side, the first area would be Daulat Beg Oldi, where a feeder road was being constructed. After that comes the Galwan Valley, and so after that is the Gorja Falls. So after that is the Pangong So Lake, that was also the recent stripes. And so lastly there is an area of Chushul Pass where this disturbance is happening.
So, there was a treaty between India and China that there will be no use of mechanized weapons, automatic weapons in that area, and hence the soldiers used medieval weapons to
Yes.
fight.
Right.
So, what is the name of the treaty? What is the name of that agreement?
So I think the agreement was confidence building measures that were signed.
Name of the agreement.
So confidence building measure.
Confidence building measures is the general set of measures
Yes, sir.
in which there is a specific point pertaining to this.
So I'm sorry, I'm aware of this only.
What is the difference between 4G and 5G technology?
So there is a difference. First of all, there is a difference between the spectrum that will be used in this. So secondly, the overall speed with which the data will be transferred, it is almost 10 times higher in the 5G. Sir, and the latency in the 5G technology, it is almost 10%, 10 times lesser than the 4G technology. So these three are the main.
What is the average speed that they are suggesting the data will be transferred at in 5G technology?
Almost 100 Gbps
Per second or per
Yes, sir.
minute?
per
100
second.
Gbps per second.
Right.
Okay. What is the difference between IMPS and NEFT?
Sir, IMPS stands for instant. Sir, I'm not able to get the full form, but sir, IMPS stands for instant money transfer. The money is transferred instantly. And sir, NEFT system is a kind of a cooperation between the two banks where the settlement happens in a period of half an hour.
Good.
Yes, sir.
RBI has been, very vocal about their positive pay system. Have you heard of it?
I'm sorry, sir.
Positive pay system.
I haven't. Sir.
Thank you.
Abhishek, you must have played the role of returning officer recently in conducting.
Unfortunately, I couldn't take part in the elections because first of all I got COVID positive, and I was also suffering from typhoid during that period. Again I got COVID positive twice, so I was suggested that I should, during that time, it was the same time when the elections were to be held, the election process just had started, so I was advised rest by the doctors. Yes,
I
ma'am.
hope you're feeling better now.
Quite better. Ma'am. Okay.
You come from Hamirpur district.
Yes, ma'am.
State government is planning to make it a future smart city.
Right, ma'am.
Do you think on what parameters Hamirpur will qualify on that?
Ma'am, I think first of all the literacy of Hamirpur is quite high. So in the smart city we can attract a lot of investors and it can be established, for example, an IT hub or some other companies like that can come to Hamirpur and start their business. And I think in infrastructure wise also, Hamirpur is lies in the plain region of Himachal Pradesh and is well connected to the areas of Punjab by road. So it will be a benefit for establishing a good infrastructure there.
What is your concept of a smart city? Just infrastructure or industrial development or something else?
Well, smart city, it is like a 360 concept which would entail better living conditions for people, better employment. We would also take care of the environment, which is also an important aspect, and the living standard of the people in a smart city should be very high, and also there should be an extensive use of technology in a smart city. It has been the central point of smart city mission. Various centers in the smart cities have been established. We're using e-governance, different aspects, for example, sanitation, to every other department. It would be interlinked. So these are some of the points about the smart city.
You just mentioned e-governance.
Yes, ma'am.
Recently, as Himachal government has achieved some milestone as far as the smart governance is concerned at the state level.
Yes, ma'am. I think in Public Affairs Index, there is an index of e-governance. Himachal last year was the topper of that index, and this year I think second rank we were able to achieve in that.
Besides this position, another thing, say Himachal must have been a pioneer in achieving something or becoming the first state in making certain reforms as far as e-governance is
Yes,
concerned.
ma'am.
Which is very recent.
Ma'am, if in e-governance, I would say that the initiative of 1100 helpline, CM helpline, CM Seva Sankalp helpline, it has been the most revolutionary concept that has been introduced in the state, and the kind of seriousness and priority that has been given by the government, like in 7 days every officer at the first level has to dispose of the complaint or it gets transferred to the next level. So I think many people have used this helpline to get their problem solved. So I think this is one of the best reforms that have been done using e-governance. And also some other notable reforms in this area are like e-Vidhan. Himachal was the first state to go entirely online with the use of laptops. There is almost no paperwork in our Vidhan Sabha, and this year I think our CM also gave the budget using his laptop. This was first time done in any state. And ma'am, similarly, there are other reforms like EPDS system that has been almost achieved to 92% in our state. Yes, ma'am.
Are you aware of this concept of lateral entry?
Yes, ma'am.
What is that?
So, ma'am, lateral entry has been recently, last year, Department of Personnel and Training, they notified 10 posts at the level of Joint Secretary. So, these people are the experts from the private sector and are not chosen by the usual channel of UPSC. So, this concept has been introduced by the government to bring in the private expertise and many challenges that have been faced by our bureaucratic system. Also, it is aimed at ensuring that there is a proper competition as well as the private ethics, which are very important for our system, which is currently to a certain extent is revealing from the problem of the bureaucratic hurdles. Yes.
Don't you think it will demoralize the present bureaucratic machinery which is functioning?
Ma'am, to an extent, I think this concept would bring in the competition among the civil servants also. So, our country is the only country where there is no, among the major democracies, our country is the only country where such system has not been introduced yet. We adopted the democratic system of UK, where this system has already been working from many years. So, I think, ma'am, this system would more bring in the competition among the civil servants. That is very essential for a good governance system.
If you are a district tourist officer of Lahore region, what steps you will take to achieve sustainable tourism thanks to this Atal Tunnel?
Yes, ma'am.
Any innovative 3 steps?
Yes, ma'am. I have not been to Lahore yet, but as a citizen of India, I can think of few problems that are faced in such regions. First of all, ma'am, there is a problem of littering by the tourists, which is a very grave problem in those areas because these areas are very sensitive in terms of environment and biodiversity. So, ma'am, proper fine should be imposed on any tourist which is doing such littering activity. Secondly, ma'am, I think there should be a planned development of tourism. The tourism concept in these areas have been quite chaotic. For example, the homestays and the hotels that have been established in these regions, they are not well planned according to the ecology of the region. So I think these are some of the steps that should be ensured.
What step Himachal government has taken for plastic management?
Ma'am, first of all, I think Himachal Pradesh has been very serious regarding the plastic waste management problem. In the Swachh Bharat 2 guidelines, the plastic waste management has been the main thrust of the government, especially for Himachal Pradesh. So, ma'am, in steps, I think the most innovative concept that has been started by the government is the Swachhta cafes. The almost 75 such cafes have been planned to be opened in the area of Nalagarh and Una region. So they are exchanging plastic for the meals in this concept. And similarly, solid waste liquid management projects are being undertaken in the various blocks. And the main thrust of this concept has been to establish a segregation sheds. So where the plastic can be segregated and properly collected. So these are some of the steps.
Do you have such type of management at your block level?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We recently, last month, we got a compressor machine. For the aim of this machine is that it's 90 kgs of plastic we have collected. It compresses it into a size that can be transported using the vehicles.
Transported to?
Ma'am, it is in Mashobra. There is a processing unit where the waste is recycled. So currently we are sending it to that area.
Are you aware of polybricks being made from
Yes.
this plastic?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So this polybricks concept was brought in by R.K. Pruthi, DC Sirmaur. So what they are doing is they are using the bottles. They are filling it with the mortar and cement, and they are using it to make various structures. For example, benches. It has been used to make toilets. So it is a very, very innovative way of using the plastic.
Thank you, Abhishek.
Abhishek, you are from Hamirpur.
Yes.
There's some beautiful event which happens there,
Yes, sir.
Hamir Utsav.
Okay.
What does it do?
So,
Mainstream, what are the activities which are taken up in that?
so Hamir Utsav is basically, it is a 2-day cultural fest that happens in boys school ground in Hamirpur. So sir, various cultural activities, especially pertaining to our Hamirpur and Kangadi culture, those are the main cultural events that happens during the Hamir Utsav.
You have experienced COVID twice.
Yes, sir.
So what are your positive learnings from the kind of pandemic which fell on us?
So I think during the time that I was suffering from COVID, it was a very unusual situation for me. It was like, what is going to happen? You don't know what is going to happen. So I read an article in which it was said that around 19% of the patients, they are getting their immunity weakened due to the reason of the psychological fear that they are having from the COVID. So sir, for me, I tried to be positive in this situation, and sir, I think I would also give credit to all the people and the administration. So they handled it very well. Sir, I was provided with the food because I was home quarantined. I was not in the hospital, so I was provided with the food and all the essential items at the right time. And by the means of video call, I was able to interact with my parents. That is a very important thing during this time, because my parents were in Hamirpur and I was in Ankara, so they were pretty worried about this thing. So main aim during this time from me was to be positive, that it's fine. And also I think I'm 26 years old, so I thought that I would have the right kind of immunity to fight against this disease.
You have been to Auroville.
Yes.
Auroville has got a strong connection with a freedom fighter. Who was it? Who later turned a specialist.
Aurobindo Ghosh, sir.
Okay. Aurobindo had some strong connection with civil service also.
Yes, sir. So when he was in, I think in London, he secured a rank in IEC. Yes, sir.
Did he qualify or
So
did he
qualified.
complete it or
He completed it, but he left the service, sir. He didn't join the service.
going for the horse riding test and then okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what especially you could notice in the city of Auroville there?
So Auroville is a very interesting place. It is an experimental township where people from different nations, almost 75 nations, they live together for the concept that was visioned by Aurobindo Ghosh, that was of a unity beyond any borders or nations. So this area has, like I said, 79 countries people, 3,000 people are living there. And sir, they don't have any state government, they don't have any rules, they have a fixed salary, everyone gets 12,000 per month salary. And so the best thing about this place is that people are trying to make some innovative projects that are eco-friendly and trying to do what they want. They are getting into their passion, and in the same thing, in the same process, they are also providing employment to the villages that are around. So I think sir, Auroville is a good experiment beyond the borders of one humanity.
In this COVID pandemic times, education took a facelift
Yes.
on the strength of online education delivery part.
Yes, sir.
What do you think it added to the digital divide, or it really serves the student fraternity?
Yes, sir. So, sir, about the digital divide, during before the COVID period, the digital divide was quite high. During the COVID, what it did was everyone was forced to buy mobile phones. Those who didn't have mobile phones, they also tried to get mobile phones for the education of their children. So, sir, it kind of bridged that digital divide. For example, so almost before the COVID, there was a 40% of the internet users were only male. So there was a huge digital divide between male and female, because almost the education was entirely on the phones and the internet. So it kind of helped in bridging this internet divide.
So moving in the very same segment of education, the NEP is talking of teaching in mother tongue.
Yes, sir.
Do you think it's going to help the students, or it's going to really bring us down with regard to our efforts to serve the global community?
So if I talk about the mother tongue, there are examples of countries like Russia, China, which have almost every system, even their softwares, even their defense protocols, those are in their own languages, and that has been very helpful for those countries, not only in case of the economy and development, but also in case of security, because decoding those languages is difficult than the common English tongue. But but there is also a downside to this in our country, where almost every employment nowadays demands the English language. But sir, I think English language has been proposed in the starting segments of the education. So sir, it can help the students, especially the students like ST communities, who face the problem of not being well conversed in the languages like Hindi or the English. So sir, this policy is quite innovative. How it will affect is to be seen when it gets implemented. But sir, I'm quite positive about how the other countries have experienced the use of mother tongue.
Yeah, mother tongue later will move into three-pronged, three-language formula also if you apply to them.
Yes.
That's really fine. India sends around 7.5 lakh students abroad for higher education.
Yes, sir.
And just multiplied with 1 million to 5 million or even 10 million. That's the kind of drain money is going out.
Yes.
And the government's initiative to invite the Ivy League colleges and universities, or maybe 100 top universities in India,
Yes, sir.
do you think it's going to be a very big challenge for tough for us in India to really match to them, or it's going to create a very competitive ecosystem? Your take.
So I think the segments of in higher education, especially the private sector, there is a lack of competition and good quality education. So I think, sir, inviting these highly reputed colleges to India will ensure a competitive education system like it is in US. So I think, sir, it will be beneficial.
2,000 villages and 6,000 temples. That's what the Bhumi is.
Yes, sir.
Himachal.
Yes, sir.
What other things are there to really make it a point that it is really a Devbhumi? It is
Sir,
being projected like that, or it's just a cultural kind of a tag which is given to your state?
Sir, I think Devbhumi tag is not only about temples and the villages. So first of all, there is a very localized culture that is known as the DT culture in Himachal Pradesh, which actually gives it the tag of Devbhumi. For example, every community or every tribe, they have a local deity in their village. So, and also, sir, Himachal is not only about the deity culture or the gods itself. It is about the food. It is about the different languages that is spoken across the state, different dresses, and so things like that, sir.
When it comes to your own service dispensation, what is that key trait, personality trait, or your own service trait which you say that that's very special to me?
Yes, sir.
That makes you shine also, that makes you go well also, and maybe help you in proving your point also.
So I think power of persuasion,
Mm-hmm.
it is being helpful for me. Like experience I had of almost 8 months in my service. So persuasion was one thing. I was able to persuade people into doing things that they ordinarily won't do. So I think the persuasion, I would say.
The persuasion is to influence people,
Yes, sir.
and you can influence for wrong reasons also.
So that is a job of civil servant. He has to be in the limits in the civil service code and the civil services conduct that entails a good behavior and good attitude that has to be imbibed in people.
You know the difference between rhetoric and persuasion?
Yes, sir.
Because rhetoric is simply influencing people, but without any intent, ethical intent.
Yes, sir.
Good, thank you. Ma'am.
Okay, so I have one question to ask.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you happy with your department and your job?
Yes, ma'am.
So why have you applied again?
Ma'am, I think for appearing again, there are two reasons. The system of government and administration is such that the higher the post you are in, the more you can do good for the people. For example, if I talk about HAS, my subdivision falls in Rampur, my STM has 2 videos under his dispensation, so he has set an agenda for both of us, and we have been working to fulfill that agenda. And same goes to how you go into higher into services. For the second reason is my personal reason. Everyone wants to proliferate in his life and go to a higher position. And the position which I am right now in, it would almost take me 10 to 11 years to get to the next position, which I can get through this exam. So these are the basic 2 reasons.
And you have written in your self-assessment that my capacity and experience, using my capacity and experience for public welfare and progress of nation.
Yes, ma'am.
And you just mentioned that you have been into service for 8 months.
Yes, ma'am.
Any instance that you could quote to support what you've written in your self-assessment?
Yes, ma'am. For example, earlier we talked about the cleanliness drive and the plastic waste management. So, ma'am, this plastic waste management machine which came into our block, it was kind of done on the basis of competition among all the blocks. There are 12 blocks in the Shimla district. So we had to send a plan. How would you execute this machine plan? So, ma'am, using all my experience and my hard work, I made a very extensive plan that I was able to persuade my higher officials that this machine should be sent to us. So that is serving a very great purpose, because the plastic waste was a very big problem in Nankadi. Almost every VVIP visit that happened in our block, everyone used to complain that this is not the way how the waste should be managed. And I think, ma'am, after this initiative, we are doing quite well in this area. So, ma'am, this is one of my experience.
So just give us 2 minutes, we'll call you back
Okay.
for the
Thank you.